Democrats in Congress say giving Ukraine more and deadlier weapons, as we've just talked about, well, they say that requires buy-in from other NATO countries. It's a little bit of cover that they are giving to President Biden for deciding not to do just that. Here is Senator Joe Manchin of West Virginia, Democrat, earlier on Morning in America.
Fight for freedom, the sacrifices people are willing to make for the freedom we take for granted. I would hope that we would do the same. And with that means giving him the support that we can for him to defend himself. But I have to give, the president has to have credit, and you should give credit to President Biden on what he's been able to do to unite all of NATO and all of our allies, bringing them together when they've been shredded for a long time. Now they're coming together.
It makes sense until you realize Estonia, member of NATO, is calling for a no-fly zone. The UK gave Ukraine advanced air defense missiles weeks ago. The president of 3 NATO countries took a train to go see Zelensky in Ukraine. Talk about putting their lives on the line. And we now understand that advanced air defense systems that the United States will not give are coming from other NATO countries. We're bringing Congressman Michael Waltz. Good to see you, sir, as always. Thank you. Are we back to leading from behind?
Well, we've been leading from behind for some time now. These arms and various types of lethal aid that are finally flowing in, still too little, in my opinion, to truly turn the tide, should have been there months ago. And when I was out in Ukraine last year, and the Ukrainians were frustrated, our embassy was frustrated, the constant message they were receiving from the White House back then was, we don't want to be too provocative. We don't want to provoke Putin. We don't want to be escalatory. And so, one could only imagine if they had had the Stingers on day one, if they had actually had anti-ship missiles to protect their ports that they have been asking for, and if they had had all of these other goods, one, would Putin have been deterred, but two, they would be in a much better position and many more Ukrainians would be alive right now.
This would be the question, I think, that's interesting, where you're talking right now about what could have been had the Ukrainians been given all of this equipment. You're a military man. You've dealt with this from the strategic level and also the tactical level, Green Beret, and then an advisor to Vice President Dick Cheney. Are we to believe that there are other NATO members who would have done a lot more but for the United States?
Oh, absolutely. The Baltic countries in particular, who I think rightly believe they would be next after Ukraine, were doing as much as they possibly can. One thing you have to understand, Leland, is that when we sell weapons to another country, as part of that agreement, they can't then just go and give it to any country they choose. We have to authorize that. And that took some time for us to do. So, yes, I mean, the United States has to lead. These other countries are looking for us to lead. And when we are hesitant, when we are passive, when we are worried about what Putin might do next, then the other countries are going to follow suit. And then on top of that, you had great hesitancy from Germany. You might remember Germany was not allowing lethal aid.
They wouldn't allow lethal aid to fly over.
Nord Stream.
Yeah, no, they wouldn't allow lethal aid to fly over.
That's right.
with friends like that, who needs enemies? Tony Katz earlier made a very good point, that there is a dissension within the Republican ranks as it relates to foreign policy. Madison Cawthorn, congressman's called Zelensky a thug. And you've got real powerful folks on the Republican side talking, it'd be hard to tell whether they were on Kremlin TV or American TV. Take a listen to Tucker a couple of nights ago.
Maybe I missed it, but I haven't seen really any Russian disinformation or Russian news source, anything from Russia or its agents in this country in a very long time. All the misinformation, propaganda I see comes from the White House.
Thoughts?
Well, look, we've had an isolationist string in the Republican Party for many, many decades. In fact, today, just sitting in the auditorium listening to Zelensky, I was only imagining what it felt like to be in Congress in 1939, 1940, when Winston Churchill was then begging us to step up, to intervene, to not go down, to not, let Europe go down the slippery slope and descent into chaos. And so we've always had an element that said, stay out of European wars, focus on America. But the difference between now and then is America has to lead. And when we don't, bad actors fill the void. We'll continue to have that debate. And I think it's a real debate in terms of escalation, in terms of where our interests lie. That's okay. But the vast majority, Leland, of Republicans are actually pushing the administration to do more, to provide more lethal aid, to ban Russian oil, to unleash American energy. So while we may have some voices, I think the vast majority of the conference is actually criticizing the administration for not doing enough.
Fair enough. 1992, Pat Buchanan. There is this strain in the Republican Party. It sometimes comes after the strongest foreign policy folks. I got about 30 seconds. You just tweeted that the MiG-29s from Poland should be okay. The administration waffled back and forth, back and forth. Is there any indication that the administration is listening and will change this don't provoke Putin at all costs policy?
You know, I'm getting some indications from the Pentagon that they're re-looking at it. They're particularly looking at the S-300, legacy Russian air defense system. But the problem's in the White House, Leland. Just like with Afghanistan, these decisions are being made by Biden himself. I think Putin is living rent-free in his head right now, and he is so afraid of escalation that Putin is actually deterring us. Putin is drawing the red lines, and these false distinctions between an anti-air missile versus an anti-air aircraft are ridiculous. We need to get over it. We've drawn the line in terms of NATO forces directly engaging. I agree with that. I think a no-fly zone does mean a massive escalation. But give them the systems they need now.
You said one thing that I can't let go, but I won't. I'll just let you nod. The only people who are paying the rent of Vladimir Putin living in Joe Biden's head are the Ukrainians who are fighting and dying. So
absolutely.
Shortest answer. We'll leave it there. Thank you, Congressman. It's good to see you.
All right. Thanks.
All right. Thanks for watching. Click the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.